All right, we are live Sunday lunchtime for some, getting close to lunch. Hopefully, some are recovering from the turkey coma from Thanksgiving. We're just going to do a live stream today. Going to talk about which GPS is best for running, hiking, hunting, and also for geocaching in 2017. I know you're probably shopping or considering a dedicated GPS device, and I just put together just a quick list as to what would be some units that you may want to take a look at to consider if you're in the mood to either upgrade a GPS device or buy a new dedicated GPS device. So I have it broken down into a couple of categories. Make sure if we're doing this live that you can post a comment and I'll hopefully give you an answer here. So these are just my recommendations, but at least this is a stepping point to get into, take a look at the features, functions, prices, and then if you want to go to get something else, you can always get that. So let's start with it. I'm going to break it down between low, medium, and high cost options, and I'll break it down into those activity ranges here. So this is based on Google Trends, Amazon Wished, and bestsellers. What's available at big box stores and what people are carrying when I see them either at the local running store or on the trail. So there's a little bit of, there is some research here, not just putting out whatever is selling right now. So let's start with hikers or for hiking or slash hunting. What would be a low cost, good GPS to take a look at if you want to get into it? Basically, I have two options right now, which is the Garmin eTrex 30 and the Garmin GPS Map 64. Now, before I continue on here, a lot of stuff will be Garmin heavy because, let's face it, they are the ones that are pretty much dominant in the market space. Depending where you are, you might find TomTom's more of a user or Apple Watch. But in my neck of the woods, Garmin is what people are wearing. So the eTrex 30X or the GPS Map 64S, both I think are the same price range. 30 is this nice small little package that you can flip in your pocket. Has most of the sensors that you need. Fairly good display. Pretty good introductory unit. The Map 64S is what I would call the gold standard for outdoor GPS units. It has that classic design that you even see with the InReach here, sharing the same type of design for external antenna. You can support maps, you get the SD card, both of them will do SD cards, and you also have the sensors, so barometer, altimeter, and compass. So those are pretty good options to look at. Now the only difference you may want to dive deep as to when was the last time that the eTrex 30X received a firmware upgrade. The 64 seems to have been updated a little bit more recently, so you may want to balance that out. And you might be able to find a few more accessories for the 64 as compared to the 30. So those are pretty much your low cost items. For a medium cost item for hikers or hunters, the Fenix 3 HR, which is what I'm wearing currently right now, big price drop that occurred during Black Friday, which is normally a sign that they're putting that out to pasture. You're probably going to have a new Fenix coming out in January, so keep an eye out on that. So, but in the meantime, the Fenix 3HR is a very good outdoors watch. You still have your wrist heart rate monitor, so if you may want to do other activities other than hiking, such as running, cardio, that kind of stuff, you can still use it, and it is actually fairly flexible. When you're doing running activities, you can do the Garmin Connect thing and download training plans and upload and all that stuff. So for price point, Fenix 3HR, not a bad thing. And you can also use the Connect IQ apps. The only downside is you may not be able to have the latest Connect IQ functionality in terms of the apps or widgets that you can install, but at least it's an option. So like I said, got a pretty big price drop, so you may want to take a look at that. For a high cost option for hikers and hunters, I'm not going to dwell too much because I already talked too much about them, but the InReach is your high cost option. This is really in its own category, right? Really what you want to boil down to is figure out what GPS functions do you actually use, right? Is it beyond the waypoints, navigation, and tracks? How much of the Garmin maps you really need on that new device if you've invested a lot of money on maps. Because right now the InReach doesn't support Garmin maps. They'll still support the DeLorme maps, which are not bad. They're free, but if you've already invested a few $100s in the Topo maps, then yeah, I can see why you want to bring it over. And also whether or not you want to drop money, a couple $100s a year for a subscription to use the satellite messaging capabilities, which is the whole point of getting the device. So that's, you want to weigh on that. But there's definitely lots of good options. I would say more on the low cost with the eTrex or the Map 64. My personal preference would be the Map 64S. So that would be it. So moving on for runners or running, what I'm seeing right now, low cost feature if for those who want to do the couch to 5K after Christmas. The Forerunner 35, that is your small form factor watch. We've just uploaded a whole whack of videos on the channel, so I'll give you an idea how that works. It's basic running functions. I would say if you're like a 5 to 10K range person, not overly serious, that would be a pretty good watch. Has basically what you want for interval training and some basic stuff. And it can also do the daily tracking. You can upload to your Garmin Connect. So far, I haven't heard a lot of complaints. The missus is wearing the watch now, and I haven't heard any complaints, so it must be working pretty good. So that's a nice low cost, and I think it got a nice little price drop. For medium cost options for runners, you got the Forerunner 235, which is the heart rate version of the 230, which I've focused on the channel before. They're basically identical. The only difference is you have the wrist-based heart rate monitor on it. And the Vivo Active 3, which just came out, also got a little bit of a price drop because they want to push it. That, I would say the Vivo Active 3 for the multi-activity type, right? If you're not 100% running, you're more active and you want to wear the watch all day and you want something that looks like a watch, the Vivo Active 3 is pretty much your choice from the looks of it. It will do everything, the GPS, the multi-activity types, stylish. The Forerunner 235 or even the 230, if you can find it, is really focused on running. It is fairly big. It is flashy. Probably not something you want to wear 24/7. So you may want to balance with that. I think both of them are around the same price. If not, the 235 might be a little bit cheaper. But those are, I think, your two options for the middle of the road for running. And of course, if money is no expense for runners. You're probably going to be doing marathon running. You're probably going to dip your toe into triathlon training or something else like that. The Forerunner 935 seems to be the one of choice. Not the Fenix 5, but the 935. So it gives you all those that functionality for triathlons. It looks pretty much the same. And I saw the 735 and all that stuff. So, but if you want to go to the high end, Fenix 5 or 935, but I would say for running triathlons, 935. And finally, for geocachers, those who don't really do any, well, you do a little bit of hiking, but then you do a lot of urban stuff. Geocachers prefer to have a lot of stuff on their device, a lot of functions, be able to connect with their desktop apps to load up all the caches that they can possibly ever get. So again, we got 3 tiers of options. The low cost, the eTrex 20X or 20X. The X means I think it's just a faster processor. And I have used both at the same time, and the 20X is a lot faster to draw maps, and if you have to manage a lot of waypoints, it is a little bit faster. So the eTrex 20X for low cost, I think that is your option for geocaching. You can load up basically, I'll go through all of them. They all have the same strong points. The medium cost would be the Oregon 650T. That was with the touchscreen with the topo maps preloaded. That's a good option for middle of the road. There's also, I believe they're up to the 700 series, but the 650 seems to be pretty good and has a nice price drop, so you may want to check that out. And if money is no cost or no option or no limit, the Montana 680. That seems to be a good one. If you're in a vehicle all the time, right? It's a big chunky unit, but you can flip it around to landscape mode, and you can do a lot of driving navigation with it. So it's more if you're mounted on your truck, your ATV, or the other thing that's out now for recreational vehicles. You can probably have that. So all those 3 units, basically you get your SD card for expandability, so you can load up all the geocaches. You can load up Garmin maps or custom maps, no problem. And you can do the paperless geocaching. They've really focused on being able to log caches either within the Garmin kind of ecosystem or be able to plug it in to do something else. Chirps, all that stuff is still very functional. So that is my recommendation list of units. I will put down all the stuff in the description of the video. Again, this is just based on stuff that I'm seeing in the field, at the stores here locally, and Google Trends and the Amazon wish lists and bestsellers. So if you have a preference of maybe units for hikers, hunters, or running or geocaching, put them down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, we'll talk to you guys next time. And do I just do this? What do I do?